Everyone sees the silhouette and assumes the balance of air power has shifted. A stealthy shape, big production numbers, bold headlines, and suddenly China's J-20 is treated like an equal to America's best. But air dominance isn't decided by how a jet looks on a runway, or how many roll out of a factory. It's decided by engines that don't fail, sensors that actually talk to each other, pilots who've fought real wars, and systems that have been tested when someone is actively trying to kill you. And when you strip away the hype and look at what really matters, China's newest jet isn't the threat people think. It's proof of how far behind they still are. The J-20 exploded during a ground running test in 2015. Years later, when China finally got indigenous engines working, they discovered the WS-15 did not yet have the endurance of American engine designs. And despite producing over 300 J-20s, more than the entire F-22 fleet, China still faces a problem that no amount of production can fix. Looking like a stealth fighter doesn't make you one. The Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon gets treated like an existential threat to American air dominance. State media calls it comparable to the F-22. Defense analysts worry about production numbers reaching 800 by 2030. And the jet does look intimidating. Angular fuselage, internal weapons bays, advanced radar. But when you examine the core measures that matter in high-end air combat, mature engines, true low observability, sensor fusion, pilot experience, and combat-proven doctrine, the J-20 exposes structural weaknesses in China's aerospace sector that raw production numbers cannot overcome. Let me show you why this jet represents China's industrial achievement more than a battlefield game changer, and why the United States Air Force isn't losing sleep over it. The engine problem reveals everything. The WS-15 has been in development since the early 1990s, over 30 years. In 2005, it performed successfully on a testbed. But getting an engine to work in controlled conditions is vastly different from achieving operational reliability in combat aircraft. Reports indicate the WS-15 experienced concerns over durability and reports of premature wear during endurance tests. The WS-15 is not reliable, and so far there is no fundamental solution to overcome such a problem. Early J-20s flew with Russian AL-31FN engines, the same power plants used in fourth-generation Sukhoi fighters. China then transitioned to the domestically developed WS-10C while waiting for WS-15. That's 3 different engines for one aircraft platform. It's so embarrassing to change engines for such an important aircraft project several times just because of the unreliability of the current WS-15 engines. It is the long-standing core problem among homegrown aircraft. Compare that to the F-22's F-119 engine, which has been operationally reliable since the Raptor entered service in 2005. The thrust-to-weight ratio of the WS-15 EME engine is supposedly greater than 10, which puts it near the performance of the F-22A's F-119 engine. But a former PLA instructor stated the WS-15 did not yet have the endurance of American engine designs. Raw thrust means nothing if the engine requires overhaul after half the flight hours, or explodes during testing, or limits sustained supersonic operations due to thermal management problems. The first production J-20s entered service in March 2017 with Russian engines. It is now in 2024 that the J-20A will meet original performance goals with installation of WS-15 engines. That's 7 years between fielding an aircraft and having the engine it was actually designed for. Imagine the F-22 entering combat without the F-119, flying with borrowed Russian engines, and only getting its intended power plant almost a decade later. That's the J-20's reality. But engines are just the beginning. Stealth, the defining characteristic of fifth-generation fighters, is where the J-20's design compromises become impossible to ignore. The J-20 may not be fully stealthy and may have only limited radar-evading characteristics. The use of canards, those forward control surfaces behind the cockpit, fundamentally compromises radar cross-section. Canards create multiple reflecting surfaces that increase detectability from certain angles. The F-22 and F-35 use all moving horizontal tail surfaces and carefully shaped vertical stabilizers to maintain low observability from every aspect. The J-20's canards might improve maneuverability, but they sacrifice stealth to achieve it. True low observability requires no compromises. Every surface, every angle, every edge carefully designed to deflect radar energy. The J-20's design philosophy prioritizes agility over stealth, which is fundamentally the wrong trade-off for fifth-generation warfare. Manufacturing quality compounds the problem. Rushed production may leave panel gaps and exposed fasteners that increase radar returns. Anechoic coatings, the radar-absorbing materials that cover stealth aircraft, require precise application and regular maintenance. China is building J-20s at rates approaching 100 per year. That production tempo raises serious questions about quality control. The F-22 production averaged about 20 aircraft annually, with strict quality standards. The F-35 program spent years resolving manufacturing issues before ramping production. China is prioritizing quantity over refinement. Then there's sensor fusion, and this is where the gap becomes insurmountable. The F-35's sensor fusion software integrates data from the AN/APG-81 ASA radar, AN/AAQ-37 distributed aperture system with 6 infrared sensors providing 360-degree coverage, the AN/AAQ-40 electro-optical targeting system, electronic warfare systems, and data links to other platforms. All of that information fuses into a single tactical picture presented to the pilot. The level of adept sensor fusion has been a disappointment on the J-20. The Chinese software development also lags behind the F-35 flying computer. The Mighty Dragon is not updatable like the Lightning II, which can be given new mission data files after a series of flights to incorporate lessons learned during the missions. That's the difference between a flying computer and an aircraft with computers in it. The J-20s do not share data well. The F-35 operates as a node in the Joint All-Domain Command and Control Network, transmitting targeting data to destroyers, ground forces, and other aircraft. When an F-35 detects a threat, every platform in the battle space knows about it instantly. The J-20 lacks equivalent data-sharing architecture. It can receive information, but the bidirectional integration that makes the F-35 a force multiplier simply doesn't exist. Plus, the electronic warfare systems on the J-20 are not as good as those sported by the F-35 and F-22. Electronic warfare isn't just jamming enemy radar. It's denying the adversary situational awareness while maintaining your own. It's creating false targets, masking friendly movements, and degrading enemy sensors without revealing your position. The F-35's AN/ASQ-239 electronic warfare suite represents decades of development and operational experience. China is catching up, but catching up means they're still behind. The avionics gap extends to maintenance. Chinese technicians are not as highly skilled or experienced working on the J-20s as United States Air Force, Marine Corps, and Navy maintainers are. Fifth-generation fighters are flying software platforms that require constant updates, diagnostics, and specialized knowledge. United States maintainers have been working on stealth aircraft since the F-117 entered service in 1983. They've maintained the B-2 since 1997 and the F-22 since 2005. That institutional knowledge, the troubleshooting experience, the repair techniques, the understanding of how these systems degrade and fail cannot be replicated through training manuals. China's maintenance challenges create operational limitations. If aircraft require longer ground time between sorties, if mission-capable rates stay lower, if repairs take more man-hours, all of that reduces the effective combat power of the fleet regardless of how many aircraft exist on paper. But the most critical disadvantage is one China cannot manufacture or engineer away: combat experience. The Chinese have not fought a war since 1979 in a short ground conflict with Vietnam. Chinese pilots are highly motivated, with strong morale and patriotism, but this may not be enough to guarantee success in combat. The Americans must be given the edge in combat testing. For example, the F-35 showed its prowess in stealth, electronic warfare, and sensor fusion during Operation Midnight Hammer attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities this year. The Air Force did not lose a single plane, and the Iranians were caught completely off guard. PLAF pilots still lack the ability to adapt to rapidly changing battlefield conditions and make autonomous decisions on the fly. Chinese military culture emphasizes hierarchical command and adherence to doctrine. United States pilots train under scenarios that deliberately create chaos, forcing independent decision-making when communications fail or situations develop faster than commanders can respond. The PLAF is desperate to hire foreign pilots for experience and training, a tacit admission that their pilot development system produces technically proficient aviators, but not combat leaders. The United States Air Force reactivated the 65th Aggressor Squadron in June 2022, equipped with F-35As to conduct opposing force training and replicate Chinese aircraft threats. American pilots train against simulated J-20 tactics every day. They understand the J-20's strengths, weaknesses, and likely employment patterns. China has no equivalent program giving PLAF pilots experience against simulated F-22 or F-35 tactics at scale. Experience compounds over time. Every red flag exercise, every deployment, every integration with allied air forces. United States pilots accumulate thousands of hours operating in complex electromagnetic environments, coordinating with ground forces, executing dynamic targeting against adaptive threats. That experience creates instinctive decision-making that no amount of simulator time replicates. Now let's address the J-35, China's newer carrier-based stealth fighter revealed at the 2024 Zhuhai Air Show. This platform is even less mature than the J-20. It's designed for carrier operations, which adds complexity. Folding wings, reinforced landing gear, arrested landing systems, saltwater corrosion management. The United States has been operating carrier-based stealth aircraft since the F-35C achieved initial operational capability in 2019. China is just beginning that learning curve. The J-35 faces all the same challenges as the J-20: engine reliability, sensor fusion, pilot experience, plus the additional complexity of carrier integration. Launching and recovering aircraft from a pitching deck in adverse weather is extraordinarily difficult. Doing it with stealth fighters at night or in contested environments requires experience measured in decades, not years. China is building capable aircraft. The J-20 and J-35 represent genuine technological achievements. But stealth-looking jets do not automatically equal United States-level air dominance. The deciding factors are systems, integration, and experience, all areas where China remains years behind, despite impressive production numbers. Here's the brutal reality. China has quantity. They're building J-20s faster than America built F-22s. Conservative estimates suggest 800 J-20s by 2030, but in fifth-generation warfare, quantity without quality creates targets, not threats. A sober look at technical evidence, operational patterns, and open-source reporting shows the J-20 is a political and industrial achievement more than a battlefield game-changer. The F-22 achieved a 241-to-2 kill ratio in exercises. The F-35 routinely posts 15-to-1 or 20-to-1 ratios against fourth-generation opponents. Those aren't propaganda numbers. Those are results from realistic training where opponents actively try to win. And the J-20? It's never faced combat, never operated in a contested electromagnetic environment, never proven its systems work when someone is actively trying to kill the pilot. China's aerospace industry has made remarkable progress, but progress means they're advancing toward where America already is, not surpassing it. The WS-15 engine approximates the F-119's thrust-to-weight ratio, but lacks its endurance. The J-20's sensor suite approximates what the F-35 achieved years ago, but without equivalent fusion or data sharing. The J-20's stealth approximates low observability, but with design compromises that increase radar cross-section. Approximation isn't dominance, and in air combat, close enough means dead. The J-20 isn't the threat people think because looking like a fifth-generation fighter is the easy part. The hard part: reliable engines, true low observability, sensor fusion that actually works, maintainers who understand the systems, and pilots with combat experience making life or death decisions. That's where China still lags, and no production rate fixes that.